Hey, girlfriend, you know who you are. You have big, big dreams. You want to write a book, stand on a TED Talk stage, be a life coach offering wisdom from your RV in Montana, a cafe in Barcelona, or a beach chair in Tulum. Your other girlfriends and your family, they don't always get your biz savvy. Why do you want to leave your JOB? Because you're a CATS, aka coach, author, thought leader, and speaker. Meet other change makers like yourself and find out how they make it happen. This is the Big Meow podcast.
Welcome to the Big Meow podcast, hosted by Cats Network. I'm Angela Howard, and I'm here welcoming Miranda Troy. Welcome, Miranda.
Good morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. And we are very excited to learn more about you and Adaptive Talent LLC.
Wonderful. I'm excited to share.
So tell us more about you and maybe even a little story of how you started this business, what the business is, and then what inspired you to start it.
Absolutely. So my name is Miranda Troy. The name of my company is Adaptive Talent. And it's actually derived from a leadership model called the Adaptable Leader that resonated with me when I started out on this venture. And I always jokingly laugh and tell clients, I have a company named Adaptive Talent. I love the adaptable leader model. I like to think I'm somewhat adaptable. So it has served me very well. I started Adaptive Talent in partnership with my husband and spouse in 2019, when I was primarily focused on leadership coaching. Since then, we have taken on executive coaching, career transition coaching, and we are doing a fair amount of HR consulting as well.
So in 2019, we are heading into that time. I even hate to say it. So how did that affect your business? You just started, and then we hit this big, isolation and the pandemic. Was that a challenge for you?
It absolutely was a challenge. I think about that time often. There was certainly a lot of fear. I really was just getting going. My pipeline looked amazing at the start of 2020. But unfortunately, most of that work in the pipeline was in the aviation industry, which was hit pretty hard. And so it really, truly vanished overnight. So I got real scrappy, real fast, reached out to some fellow coaches, put together kind of a, how to work-life balance model and how we could do that virtually. Started going that route. Ultimately, I landed with a very small company and took a little bit more of a full-time job for about 6 months. Probably should have been a contract, but it certainly gave our family the stability that we needed and got us through the heart of the pandemic, or the hardest part, I should say. And then by 2021, I was right back into things.
Well, you sound very authentic, because it sounded like you had to be quite adaptive. And that's amazing. It's lovely to hear, somebody's personal story and how they came through, and they're willing to kind of, as we say, reach back and help those through a time like what you had. But you said something that really interests me, and that is that you reached out to other coaches. So it sounds like, people in this business, and we're all coaches, authors, thought leaders, and speakers here, look at each other sometimes as competition. And that's not what we're about here at Cats Network. And it sounds like you actually work the model of collaboration over competition. Tell us about that.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed even back in 2019, when I kind of embarked on this whole coaching journey, is I didn't feel competitive. My personal.
We seem frozen a little bit.
Business mantra is my people will find me. And that's really my North Indies out there. And there are things that, and truly time has felt competitive in the coaching space. I've really felt much more like, we all have our individual strengths and talents, and lean on each other. I as most coaches do. I do a lot of self-reflection and coaching myself, and I'm part of many different communities. And we're always struggling with the same things. Like it's always somewhat serendipitous when we get on a call, because if I'm struggling with somebody else seems to be having that same struggle too. And just having different communities that you can go to are incredibly important to me.
Well, thanks for that. We're going to take a quick short break and we'll be right back.
Great.
You are listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by Cats Network.
We are back at the Big Meow Cats Network with Miranda Troy. And you've told us a lot about the challenges and how you came through it. What would be a piece of advice you would give one of us, coaches, authors, thought leaders, speakers, a nugget, something that would bridge the gap between adversity and success?
So for me, it's really interesting how many times the word balance comes up. And that can be in relation to work-life balance, or just trying to find the balance between two things. And when I think about the success I've had and the journey that I've had, I think it has been finding that balance between surrender and just, there's certainly some spirituality on my side associated with that, but really surrendering to the universe and to whatever comes your way. And balancing that with intentionality, because if you're not intentional and you totally can surrender, then who knows where you'll end up. But if you do have some intentionality, I'm really big on 5-year plans and working that 5-year plan and setting goals. And I can get a little bit over goal oriented. So for me, it's been finding that balance in between. So being very intentional with what I want, how I want to grow the business, and being able to speak to that. But also, as I was sharing, one of my mantras is my people would find me, and that's very much the surrender. There's so many things out of my control. So finding that middle point and that balance between those two.
Yeah, it sounds like your adaptability has structure and some surrender, and bridged by trust.
Absolutely.
You have to have a lot of trust. So
trust in yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm curious about a recent success story. Can you share with us something that was a success story recently?
Absolutely. So this was a little bit more on a personal standpoint, but and I love the fact, like with your intro, like we are all authors and thought leaders and those things. And so one of my personal desires has always been to write. And at the beginning of 2022, I don't really set New Year's intentions, but I do set New Year's goals, but I do set New Year's intentions. And 2022's intention was to write. Went out of the gate really, really big in the first quarter. Then business happened and things got crazy. So I really dialed back. I didn't have the discipline in place in quarters 2 and 3, but that intention was really pushing me through quarter 4. I found my way back to it. My timeline slipped. I didn't make it by the end of the year, but I am happy to say that a week ago, I did actually submit a small Advent devotional that I have written to my editor. And we'll have that out and printed in time to give out to clients and close friends and families by the time the Advent season comes, November, December of this year.
Well, we really love celebrating successes. Again, the collaboration model over the competition model, and definitely your adaptability. You are definitely having to live that adaptability, walk that adaptability line. So what's next for you? I mean, you've got this book. So what's next? What's the big picture?
Yeah. So the 5-year plan is in place. I tell everybody all the time, my whole goal is to dial back the HR consulting and dial up the coaching, because that's where my passion is. I was able to carry about 8 clients per year at a time last year. So I dialed it up to 12 this year. I feel like I've come out of the gate with a bang. So I just want to continue to grow that coaching business, because that's where my passion and my heart are.
Wow, Miranda, thank you so much for your time today and sharing with us your success story and also modeling again for us what Cats Network is all about. And that is showcasing each other and supporting each other. Because when one rises, we all rise. And I really appreciate when I talk to a successful woman that has used that model too. So how do we find you, Miranda?
Oh, sure. So you can find me, Miranda Troy, on LinkedIn. And you can also find my website, adaptive-talent.com.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining us on Cats Network at the Big Meow. You got the ears, right?
I love them. I love them. And thank you, a huge thank you for reaching out and giving me this time.
Absolutely. All right. Well, success to you, my dear. Down the road. We'll see you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to the Big Meow podcast, sponsored by Cats Network. If you liked what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. You can also join our network filled with positivity and possibility. Visit www.catsnetworking.com to join us and learn more, together with your magical, motivated, and mystical new friends at Cats Network. Let's transform 1 million lives with your message. Are you feeling isolated, sitting at home in your PJs? Or perhaps you're tired of the comfy sweatpants with holes in them that are hidden just below the camera? I mean, you could puke at the thought of another day of Zoom meetings and reporting to your BOSS. Do you want freedom from your home office desk or the office cubicle? Do you want freedom from your current career? Or are you frustrated that your online biz dreams are going nowhere? It's all too overwhelming. Where do you start? All the tech, the choices, and your message. Yep, I said your message, your brand, your voice. What is it? Do you even know what that means? Do you need a biz coach but don't want to invest the big bucks? Let's face it, being a solopreneur is lonely, but you don't have to do it alone. And here's a solution. Join Cats Network. Cats Network is a woman-only membership community exclusively available to you, the life coach or executive coach, the author, the thought leader, or the public speaker. If you identify with this list or want to work on adding some of these to your skill set, Cats is the place for you. Check us out at www.catsnetworking.com. That's CATS networking.com. Because let's face it, cats are better together.